I'd like to call to order the October meeting of the library, Kingston Library Board of Trustees. It is 6:01 on the 21st. In attendance, we have trustees Jen Quackenbush, Matt Donahue, Lee Lewis, Emily Curtin. We have Library Director Donald Colon with us and Director of the Foundation, Debbie Grace. The first thing on the agenda is minutes approval. I don't know if anyone has any edits or changes to last month's minutes that were sent out. Not seeing any, I'll take a motion for acceptance of the September minutes.
Sure. I move to accept the minutes from the Trustees Board meeting on September 16th, 2024.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. So the first thing on the agenda is subcommittee update. Would you like to give the update?
Sure, it will be brief. So as part of the committee's role in trying to get the building projects underway, one aspect is getting quotes. I was able to get quotes for the asbestos removal in the back storage room. We are still working with some masonry companies to come in and assess the back storage area. I will also give an update that will be news to members of the committee, that the architect did reach back out to me and actually relayed me to a fellow architect who would be more in line with municipal projects. So we are scheduling a meeting to get together so that she can come on site and give her opinion about the backspace. As well as at the meeting, Foundation President Debbie, had brought up the discussion about the lobby renovation, reorganization, and getting the quotes. So there'll be further discussion about that as well as time goes on. But I think that was basically the high points.
Yep, and we have a meeting scheduled for next month. Thank you very much. The next bullet's probably pretty cryptic since I don't think we've spoken much about Plymouth Rocket, but Donald?
Okay, so Plymouth Rocket is a main stable in libraries in Massachusetts. It basically is the provider for online calendars, program registrations, as well as museum passes. Approximately 3 weeks ago, they were moving to a new server. And after that move, they experienced numerous challenges and bugs, and then they sent out an email saying that they are abandoning the project, the product, and that as of October 31st, we will have to have a new vendor to offer these services. So of course, libraries across the state are scrambling to find different vendors and what have you, and there is a vendor that I selected because it does have, it does meet the needs that we have, and it also gives us options for future additional modules. The big challenge is the fact that it is more than double what we pay for Plymouth Rocket, due to the fact that Plymouth Rocket did not have bells and whistles. It did what it needed to do. It provided the service that we needed, but as you know, it kind of has remained stagnant. And I think this move to the new server was a step into a direction to try to expand on that product. So with that said, we do have quotes. We do have a quote from them and an invoice as well. So we're trying to schedule the training for staff because this will be a completely new kind of system. It will probably be more time consuming for staff for entries into the calendars because there is more detail available. It, however, will be more beneficial in the long run when we go to do the state reporting, because you can actually set up the parameters to break it down into the specific age ranges for the programs that the state asked for, as well as inputting attendance. So it will be kind of like an all-in-one sort of thing, as well as providing a lot of reports which Plymouth Rock, it really didn't have that kind of option. So we can do things like, if, say, for example, we were having a program, a big community program that people were going to sign up for, that you can add a field requesting zip codes so that we can have more clarity. You know, as far as state aid has shown that we do get a lot of high circulation of materials to non-residents, but this would also help answer the question, are they physically coming here to our programs as well? Just to give us, you know, a deeper dive into that. So what will probably happen as the staff is trying to, you know, figure out the best processes for themselves with registrations, you know, for programs that are highlighted, the emailing of the specific staff members is the, you know, basically the best way we could do it for the, you know, time being after October 31st. It will be the museum, obviously the museum passes will be the issue. And hopefully the company, which is Assabet, they will be able to move quickly. Like, I had reached out to them about getting a demo, and they responded back and basically said, we're so inundated with library requests. So they did send a demo video they took that they actually did earlier this month at another OCLN library. And so we were able to watch that and see the features. So we are only getting the museum passes and the online calendar. However, it does have another feature for the Library of Things, which would allow people to specifically request items for specific dates, which is a huge ask for folks that they want, you know, they want the lawn games, but they want to pick it up this Thursday and then bring it back that following Monday, sort of thing, for weekend parties and what have you. And unfortunately, it's a first come, first serve at this point. But that will completely change that. So we opted not to get that one because of the additional cost, but also as staff are, you know, working with a new system for both modules, I felt that it would be a little bit too much to try to get that thrown into the mix as well.
But for what we're getting, you do feel that with the increased cost comes increased efficiency?
Yes, yes.
Can I ask too, because I know we've asked before about Event Keeper, if it was an event sponsored by the foundation, whether there could be an opt-in box when people were registering?
I don't know.
Okay,
That
just something
don't-
to like,
yeah, that I don't know
Okay.
if.
because that's the biggest issue for us, is getting new people, and if we're sponsoring.
Okay.
Any other questions about Plymouth Rocket? Right, then the next bullet is director goals before we launch into the usual reports. Everyone should have a copy of the director goals. They went out with all of the reports and statistics. Did you want to just do a brief summary and then open for questions, or how would you like to?
That sounds great.
Okay.
That's a great idea. So basically what I did was I just, you know, compiled some ideas for goals for this fiscal year. Some of these are things that are currently being done, as you know, they are beneficial to the organization either way, either being selected as the, you know, formalized goals for this fiscal year, or whether just as in practice. So one of the bigger things is the upgrading of the library job descriptions for staff. We currently have KTU union staff members that all share the same job description, but quite honestly, the majority of them do specific departmental work, as well as overlapping of some tasks, for example, covering, you know, certain service desks and things like that. And it is, you know, like the very basic job description, as well as adding additional positions to wage and personnel, which would include a passport assistant and an assistant director position. The creation of these positions would just be positions to add, to put on the books. There isn't an immediate goal to have the positions filled, even though I would like to have try to get the passport assistant filled, because I would like to see that as a position being over at the Adams Center, which would help offset the issue of having just the archivist over at the building by themselves, for obviously safety and security issues. So those are the two, wage and personnel. It would be a matter of upgrading 3 of the union positions, 2 of which would stay status quo and would just be support positions for those departments and for the librarians as currently done. The next goal is to do long-term budget development and restructuring. Basically, what this is to review the town accounts that are on the books at this time that basically have outlived their service. We have accounts that were grants that the library got from the state from like fiscal year 2011. Accounts that may have 22 cents in them, as well as another account that we found recently that had a decent amount of money in it as well. So basically, the idea is to clean up the system, know what we're working with, rather than having this far amount of accounts, which would end up potentially accounts can be closed without my notice. So for example, if it was an account that someone saw that it was from 2002 and say, oh, well, they haven't used it, we can just close that. Well, if I don't know, that I have it, because it's not, these are special accounts as well. So they're not something that's on the regular reporting of the accounting software. So when I do a year-to-date report, the only things that come up there are the specific line items that we vote on at town meeting. But these are kind of all side things. So if there's investment accounts or anything like that, those would be listed there. The next item that I had is a more concentrated effort in having professional development for the staff and myself, which was kind of funny because I did this and then we were notified. One of the things that I outlined was having public safety related trainings and things like that. And when I attended the quarterly safety committee meeting at town hall, they said, oh, by the way, we want you to do Alice training and fire extinguisher training. So kind of everything just kind of lined up with that. So we are actually going to be doing Alice training in December. So that will be a date that we'll have to close early. The Council on Aging staff will be coming over to join us. So it would all be here.
Oh, okay. I had the car running.
I guess I should note here that we are also joined by trustee Ralph Calderon.
And I just give him the key. If the car is running, he won't be able to get home.
Thank you.
So we want, so I want to make a more concentrated effort in getting continuing education, for the staff members. And as you can see from my monthly report, I have attended a lot over the last month. And then the last goal that I had outlined, which was the expansion of the library's outreach opportunities. And it was more so to be to take a more deeper dive in the outreach opportunities that we could do. We have been doing programming at the Council on Aging. We have done partnership programming with the rec department. Recently, I attended the agricultural fair as well as going to the farmers market, but just trying to come up with other locations, for example, like housing developments in town that may have a community space where the reference librarian could go and those community members there, rather than could be, taught how to use Libby or anything about our reference, resources and things like that. So just trying to get us out into the community more and, and logistically looking at, there's so much that happens on this side of town and see what we can do, with the rest of the community.
I just want to say before anyone, if they have questions or comments, that usually it's best if goals are set up like SMART goals. If you're unfamiliar with SMART goals, it means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And that's what we use in education, and I feel like Donald has structured his like that as well. You can notice how he's giving us cues and how they will be measurable at the bottom, so that when we discuss these goals during his director evaluation the next time around, we have something to reference to see growth and see how far he's gone in attaining his goals. Did anyone have any questions or comments? Oh, and I also wanted to mention, sorry, that at the beginning, when I first opened the goals, I was shocked to see the assistant director noted there. But then I remembered that, for instance, the teen and emerging technology position was created long before we actually had the space or the individual in that position, and that this is just what you do for looking down the road. Very much. Okay, so now on to the report.
Okay. All right, so the director's report. So some of the highlights. So one of the meetings that I attended was the members council meeting in Hanover. One of the things that was strongly discussed was a strategic plan survey that had been done, which strongly supported the network moving to a new ILS, which is an integrated library system. So basically the software we use to check books in and out of. It similar to Plymouth Rocket that we currently use, it does what it needs to do. However, there are more features with other kind of programs out there. So there has been a big push to form a task force for that, to looking into that, to the new ILS. I can tell you that probably like an hour and a half ago, I got an email from the director of the Brockton Public Library, who is the current president of the old OCLN executive board. So he is putting together the team. So he had asked, they basically are looking for a good mix of staffing. So Holly will actually then be on the task force. They had inquired about her joining it. So she'll be doing that. I am hoping that the cost of this migration, which they, estimate to be about 140,000, would be something that is used in OCLN's reserve funds versus increases to our individual budgets, because that would be a huge hit. Another meeting that I attended was at the quarterly meeting of the safety committee at town hall. During this meeting, it was discussed about OSHA training, and because our department was not listed as different along with the other departments for training, I asked, where do I fit in? And so I was teacher's aide and admin, which the things that are listed here are teacher's aide. Crossing guard I'm okay with, because my judgment with that is, hey, we have the Adams Center across the street. People will need to cross the street. So if I'm aware of that sort of thing, so I'm looking into the training for those. Met with the rec department for this Friday evening's book and treat program, which is a huge collaboration between the two departments. They are actually taking a more active role in the program this year for the first time. We mainly have been hosted there and they've done some things, but there's definitely a bigger interest to do things. So unlike us taking over the whole building, we're basically doing the lower level and having a photo op upstairs, but they will be having a lot of games and crafts and things like that up there as well. And as I mentioned, I attended the agricultural fair with Nick. We, brought items that were related to agricultural topics, books and materials and things like that. It was a well-attended event. It did give us a lot of opportunity to intermingle with some of the other community groups. I did get some contacts for future program planning and things like that. We did the last farmers market, which was great. We probably did the most library card signups that we have. So that was very exciting, even though we thought we were going to get blown away because it was probably the windiest I've ever seen it down there. And then to look at facilities, the top-notch thing on that list is the fact that the glass globe shades for the Adams Center chandelier, after 3.5 years, whatever it's been, that project is completed. I even included a photo, which, there's usually not photos in my reports. And for the newer trustees, the chandelier was custom made to replicate the chandelier that was previously there. The company that did the reproduction actually went out of business. I actually tracked down the person who was part of that company at another business. That business went out of business as well. And quite honestly, it was a cost. I mean, while you might say, oh, look at those globes, get those $20-$30 at Lowe's or Home Depot. They're actually $127. And the only option, because of the sizing of them, was 190 something. So that was the big pill to swallow, was to make that kind of investment into the shades. We do still have the old shades, because I don't know what they cost, but they're not going anywhere. We might do a craft with them sometime. I don't know. We might get a lamp that we want to change the shades out or whatever. But I am happy that that is done.
For those who've been tuning in for multiple seasons.
Exactly.
Very long.
Exactly. Since August 2021. One of the other issues. One of the other facilities issues, is that we do have an ongoing issue with the LED sign. There was an issue with the software that is being used to update the sign. The sign company has asked us to look to have the software upgraded to the newest version. We attempted to do that, but at the last step of it, it directs you to a website to a company in China. So because this was open source software, there's a question of whether or not it has been sold or bought or just taken over by the company. And so we are looking to other options. I have, been working with Town IT to try to find some solutions, because normally a sign would be a manufactured product that came with software specific for that. And this is not the case. This is a situation where this company buys parts and puts the parts together to make this sign, and then you have to provide a third-party software. And so I spoke to them last week about it, and that they're going to meet with their team. That was at the end of last week, to reach out to me the beginning of this week, to discuss options, because we were trying to get the software issue taken care of before they came in to look at the hardware. And so with that said, they're continuing to look at that. So the LED sign might become my new glass globe shades from the Adams Center.
It looks good now because it adds to like the creepy effect when it's like neat.
Well, that, at first it was just a little outage, and then all of a sudden it started to shimmer.
Yes.
Now it wasn't shimmering, but now there's a bigger block out. And
Never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
I wonder if Plymouth Rocket runs that company.
Spooky at night when the street lights.
I had never seen the shimmer until the other day.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And it was all on and it seemed like it was all on the Halloween ones.
It was. That's what I'm saying. It led to the spooky atmosphere.
I mean, I worry about it probably just not even for looks, but just because someone could miss out on information. Like somebody could be looking at the sign and say, wow, that event looks really cool. If only I knew what day or time it was happening. Because the
Exactly, which is good why we have it on our website as well as on social media, and folks can definitely, call the library and we can update them with specific dates and times of things. Then the next thing is Eversource has been in to do the repairs to the lampposts at the end of the driveway, the parking lot. We had an issue where they had been working on the project down there, and they cut and buried the line to that lamppost. That has been repaired, and they've just kind of been working as far as that other project, on that side as well. And that really is the big points of my report. If there are any questions, I will gladly answer.
Would you like to do statistics now as well?
Sure, since I usually forget those. All right, so actually, so for the month of September, the total checkouts was 10,751. And for a monthly increase, that is an increase of 9.73 over the previous fiscal year, which that reflects, once again, that we were the top improved public library OCLN for the month of September for improvement over the previous fiscal year. A good majority were in the negatives, unfortunately, but we once again were strong with that. Had 52 new library cards signed up. We had 974 holds. And then the circ counts for Hoopler, actually year to date, in totals from January to now, is the total circs have been 3,921 with a cost of $8,922.28. So digital content is expensive, but there is the usage there.
What was that number again, Donald? I'm sorry, for the digital.
For the
the
cost,
Yeah,
so for the calendar year cost is $8,922.28.
Questions for Donald? Not seeing any. The next item is staff reports. Do anyone have any comments or questions about those? Then it is the foundation and funds update. You would be so kind.
sure. The fall appeal letter should be going out. You should see it in your mailbox by the end of the week, if not the beginning of next week. That's one of our major fundraising things. If we don't have your address and you'd like to get more information about the foundation, I'd be more than happy to take that. We are a sponsor of Book and Treat. We are also starting pre-sales for the Elf on the Shelf kits, which was a huge fundraiser last year for us. We got lots of positive feedback from parents for that. So you get 24 activities, you don't have to plan them, it's all done for you.
My house do use them, even though we have.
You kidding me?
Yes.
Wait to stop.
Oh, no, we used it.
I have passed that torch to Abby and Danny to do.
And then we will be celebrating our 15th anniversary on Saturday, November 16th here at the library with some little festivities, and we will be the feature of Kingston Living for January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any questions for Deb? The next bullet is payment of bills, and this is also the end of a shorter storyline, but still tedious. Carolyn's bonding payment has gone out, and she is now officially set for another year as treasurer. Anything under old business? Just to clarify, our next meeting is, I was like to just throw this out there before. The 18th, Monday, the 18th is the next meeting.
Are we
And-
going to have to schedule the next one? Or I guess 6 months out, like we last time, I think we scheduled up to.
So I figured we would go a couple of meetings and
And
then,
then
so like at the
tap it
November
again.
ad.
Okay.
And the November meeting will have, you might have noticed from the agenda came out that we initially had anticipated having the Kingston 300th, but they moved to November, so they will be on that agenda. Any new business?
So just two things for me for new business. One is just to make you aware that I was notified that the state is taking 66 feet of our frontage from eminent domain in order to widen the sidewalks on 3A. In order to, make them ADA compliant. So we basically don't have any kind of say in this, but it is basically just a foot. And my understanding is that they will restore all the stonework, the stairs that are there. I did make an ask to have, if they could, instead of doing stairs, do a kind of like a ramp so that we could, once we do a ramp, we can just connect into it,
Extra request. You do it, Ed.
Yeah, trying.
Can I get this?
I'm
this,
trying,
this?
folks, I'm trying.
And a koi pond.
Yeah. I would so love a koi pond. But yeah, so that's going on. And then the other question is for new business is, so we had voted, the board had voted concerning the holidays, the December 24th holiday, it is a half work day. And so this has brought up an interesting point because it is our 10-hour day and there's different schools of thought in this, in the sense of that while the townhouse will be closing at 1:30 because it is their long day and they will be doing like the 5-hour, they'll do their 5 hours or whatever it is for that long day. We have employees who come in the morning and then we have people who come in the afternoon.
Right.
And so we cannot negotiate with individual union members to say, hey, can you come in the morning and make that shift? We can't do that. It needs to be in totality. And so the question becomes, because we have staff that come in at 9:45, we have staff that come in at 12:45, and then we have a singular staff member who comes in at 3:15. And after speaking to HR, the thought was that it would be a case of individuals would come in and work their half-day shift. So someone who comes in at 9:45 would work the 3.5 hours. The person who comes in at 12:45 would do their 3.5 hours. But then we have the problem with the part-time person who comes in at 3 o'clock.
Right.
So what was said was that the board could make a vote to basically set the time. So if the board was to say, we'll close at 1, but people will need to shift schedules or what have you, I'd have to work with that. So
Okay.
I just, obviously with it being the holiday, Christmas Eve, my assumption is that there will be requests for it off. I've already started getting some, so I'm not, expecting that it's going to impact too many people, but so we need to make a call about that because a half day is not a half day. I've come from experiences where people shifted their hours, or it was a case of, the schedule, the library closure was at a certain time, and if you didn't come in until after that time, then you got the whole day, sort of thing. So like for the person, if we decided to close at 1:30 and the employee who's coming in at 3, well, you don't actually have to work a half day because we set the time at the 1 o'clock or 1:30 or whatever. So what the goal would be is to collectively, if we say we're going to close at 1, I can then write something up give it to HR. It can be presented to the union,
Mhm.
as a group versus, try to go to individual staff members and saying, hey, would you be willing to shift and what have you? The thing with the union staff here as well is that the specific schedules are in the contract. So that presents another challenge like if somebody wanted to switch evenings, swap evenings, technically we can't because they're in that position.
So you would like from us a motion to officially close at 1 on the Christmas Eve,
Yeah, I'd close at 1:30.
1:30
Actually, let me do my math.
for the half day.
For the half day.
5 hours, so, right, 8 to 1 would be.
Well, no, because they come in at 9:45.
And a half day is 3 out.
Is 3.5. So
It's like 14.
yeah. So I mean, town hall's closing at 1:30.
So
So
sync with town hall.
I would
at
sync
1:30.
with sound make it 1:30.
I would take a motion from a board member.
Motion to close on Christmas Eve at 1:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, unanimous vote.
It's my birthday, so I won't be here anyway. So,
Oh.
but that was it for me for new business.
Any other new business? Not seeing any, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
At 6:37.
Whatever time it is, at 6:37.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.